Our Bible word is Luke 6 verse 12. Now it came to pass in those days that he went out to the mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer to God. So here we have Jesus involved with the calling of the apostles. And that's in chapter 6 verses 12 to 16. That's the calling of the 12. And it's Jesus is here appointing the leadership or the new leadership for Israel. Because him appointing 12 apostles, it's symbolic for the 12 tribes of Israel. And the apostles that he will call now will be the new leadership for Israel. As yet, they don't have a specific job to do. They're not sent out as yet as apostles. They are the main function they'll have later on. But Jesus calls them apostles, or in Greek, apostolos. It means envoys. The word means those who are sent or authorized by their sender to deliver a specific message, to do a specific task. But as yet, they do nothing special. For now, the apostles is still a time of preparation for them. They are still learning from Jesus. It's only later on when they will go out and do the task of apostles. That is to proclaim the message that Jesus authorized them, and also being witnesses of his resurrection. But here we will focus more on the prayer life of Jesus. The Gospel of Luke, the evangelist, he focused a lot on the prayer life of Jesus. And here in this Gospel, we hear more about the prayer life of Jesus than in any other Gospels. And we can look at some of these things that brings emphasis to the prayer life of Jesus. If we go to Jesus' baptism, there Jesus prayed. It says, Jesus also was baptized, and while he prayed, the heaven was opened. Also, it's very important for us if we go to chapter 5 verse 16. It says there, so he himself often withdrew into the wilderness and prayed. So Jesus spent a lot of quiet and alone time praying to God his Father. There's also at the Transfiguration, it says he took Peter, John, and James and went up on the mountain to pray. Also, if we go to chapter 10, verse 21, Jesus prays there, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things, right, from the wise and intelligent ones. So that's also a form of prayer of thanksgiving. What's also important for us is that Jesus also in the Mount of Olives, we know this, we felt that anguish, like it says, and he was withdrawn from them about a stone's throw, and he knelt down and prayed. Jesus also prayed in connection with his disciples, like here, our present verse. Jesus went up to the mountain to pray, and it was revealed to him through prayer. Now you must appoint 12 apostles, because this is God's initiative. God, the Father, has now revealed to Jesus, you must appoint 12 people as the new leadership of Israel. And again, that's our Bible word. Let's read it again. Now it came to pass in those days that he went out to the mountain to pray and continued all night in prayer to God. And it was during this prayer at night where God, the Father, revealed to Jesus, appoint 12 apostles. Now, of course, mountains in the Bible is always places of special revelation. That's why Jesus also goes up to this mountain. It's this connection with God where there's this divine revelation that's given from God the Father. Another prayer in connection with the disciples is where Peter confesses Jesus the Messiah. It says there, and it happened as he, that's Jesus, was alone praying, etc. Then, of course, he goes on to say, who do the crowd say that I am? Jesus also said that he had made a prayer for Peter. But I've prayed for you that your faith should not fail. Jesus also often gives teaching. and in parables, and gives encouragement to pray. Or if we go back to Jesus' anguish in the garden, just before his own prayer, he told his disciples, pray that you may not enter into temptation. There's also in chapter 11, there's a lot said about prayer, because it says there, he was praying in a certain place. And then one of his disciples said to him, Lord, teach us to pray. So he said to them, when you pray, say, Our Father in heaven. And there we find Luke's version of the Lord's Prayer. But again there, Jesus was praying, and obviously the disciples noticed Jesus. This guy prays a lot. So they asked him, also teach us how to pray. Then later in chapter 11, Jesus gives a parable of the friend at midnight, where he teaches perseverance. He actually gives believers permission to be real pests. You can bother God with your prayers, even at midnight, so to speak, and you can be a real pest, and you say, I want this, help me now. And then that's the moral of the story. You can pester God with prayer, even at an inconvenient time, so to speak. It's about perseverance in prayer. And then after that, Jesus also speaks of seek or ask, seek, knock, which is also a reference to prayer. There's another parable that Jesus gives about perseverance in prayer. And if you go to chapter 18, verse 1, it says, Then he spoke a parable to them that men always ought to pray and not lose heart. And of course, then Jesus gives a parable of the persistent widow. And she wants justice. And then the man decides, I better help this woman, otherwise she's going to keep on bothering me. Again, it's a metaphor, it's an image. We can keep on bothering God. We can pester God. We can come to him. It's about perseverance in prayer. Jesus gives God's people freedom to do that. Come to the Father in prayer. Persevere in it. Jesus also teaches the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. Of course, the Pharisee, he came self-righteous prayer, but the tax collector came with a repentant prayer, and he's the one that went home justified or exonerated or made righteous because his attitude was right in his prayer. And lastly, Jesus encourages his people, at the time of his coming, be faithful in prayer. If we go to chapter 21, verse 36, watch therefore and pray always, that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things. Of course, lastly, Jesus also prayed just before his crucifixion himself, where he said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. So in Luke, over and over again, reference is made to Jesus, his connection with the Father through prayer. And Jesus' teaching on prayer. Pray persistently, and also how you pray. Of course, this is a very important spiritual teaching, and we can also follow the Son of God's example, that we live a life of prayer. We can go to our own mountain, so to speak, being quiet, being alone, and we can make connection with our Heavenly Father.